What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, and we are going to be doing a loan watch today. We're going to be looking at 8 players who are on loan from Tottenham throughout the period of the 2021 season, excluding Paulo Gazzaniga as he has already left Tottenham. So we're going to be looking at the 8 other loan players that were out on loan from Tottenham Hotspur for the majority of the last season, and this is all done through the 5 Yards platform. And Sim, tell us what the 5 Yards platform is.
So 5 Yards is a website where you can put your money where your mouth is if you think a player is worth having in your scouting network. So how it works is you can buy a percentage of a player for however much they're worth. For example, Harry Kane is worth 63 million, and for when you're buying a player, for each million that is £1. So if you buy 100% of Harry Kane, that's £63 to own 100% of Harry Kane, and they get performance pay. And how that works is whenever they do something in real life, if they play in a win, if they score a goal, or if they assist a goal, you get compensated each time they do something in real life, depending on what competition it is. For example, if it's in the Premier League, you get 130,000 for whenever your player does something. And how performance pay works is for every 100k, that's £1 to you. So Harry Kane got 7.7 million this whole season in performance pay. So that means he got over £70 you would have got if you got 100% of Harry Kane for the whole season for just £63 as well. So that is how 5 Yards works. You can also buy little known players who are worth very, very little, but if you believe you have some inside knowledge into thinking they're going to become a top player, you can buy them very cheap, and then when their performance pay kicks in, you're going to be raking in a lot of money if they're doing it in a big league. So it's a chance to put your money where your mouth is, buy players for how you think they're going to do over the season, and it's a chance to make a bit of money.
All right, so if you like that chance to make a bit of money, then do go and click the link in the description below to get involved with the 5 Yards platform. But now let's get into our loan watch, and let's start off with the player which is on pretty much every Spurs fan's lips this season in terms of Ollie Skip, who's had an absolutely brilliant loan spell at Norwich, obviously winning the championship, so he's got more trophies than Harry Kane now, Ollie Skip. But look, he's had an absolutely unbelievable loan, championship team of the year. I think he was definitely up there in terms of the conversation for Norwich team of the year, and everyone is very excited to have him back for next season.
Yeah, 100%. He was absolutely brilliant for Norwich last season. And if you actually look, there's some scout reports you can see from last season. This is how it works on this website. They have scout reports, so people leave their reports on how well they think a player has performed. And if we read one of these scout reports, let's read this one. Not this one, sorry. Let's read this one here. So it says, Ollie Skip, he plays a defensive midfield, he can play as number 8, and he's a natural leader and can wear the armband. Skip tends to sit in front of the back 4. Although he can play with the role of a number 8, he is able to carry the ball well and distribute it well as breaking up play. He isn't the tallest, but he can win multiple ground and aerial duels due to his strength. He has shades of Declan Rice and Fernandinho. It says, what club would he be poking for, Spurs or Barcelona? Which is funny. Physical traits, he's strong on the ball as well as in the air, despite his height. Skip is a composed midfielder and great up-and-coming talent that we should see in the Premier League next season. So that is Ollie. That is his review of Ollie Skip, age 20. Obviously, he got 300,000 for performance pay this season. So, sorry, he only got 300,000 in total. He got 900,000, I think he said, for performance pay this season. So that'll be £9.30 you would have got for a whole season. He's obviously worth 19 million, so that's £19 to buy him for. So you probably would make your money back in a couple of years with Skip.
All right, so that is Ollie Skip. Like I said, he has had an absolutely brilliant loan spell at Norwich, and we are very excited to have him back, see what he can do next season in the Premier League for Tottenham Hotspur, competing with that spot with Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. Let's move on to the second player we're going to be looking at today, and that is another player who has won a trophy at his time away from Spurs, and that is Juan Foyth, obviously winning the Europa League with Villarreal. What's the scouting network saying on him?
He actually don't have many scout reports on Foyth, but we all know he's had a great season with Villarreal, playing multiple positions. He's been more involved he actually won more games in the Europa League than he did in La Liga this season.
It's
Villarreal,
interesting.
but
They did win it, so
they did win it, and he was a big part of that, playing big performances in the semi-final and the final. And reportedly, they want him back for next season when they do have an option to buy. So it would be a shame to lose him, but it looks very likely that he is going to be heading back to Villarreal next season.
yeah, I mean, when he was under Pochettino, I really like the look of him. Kind of very composed on the ball. Like you said, can play a number of positions. He played centre mid, centre back, and right back for Villarreal this season. For Argentina, he's played a lot at right back and centre back. He's a very versatile player. And under Pochettino, I thought he was definitely going to go on to do big things for Tottenham. But obviously, Jose Mourinho didn't fancy him, and now he's got an option to join Villarreal. So it's all up to him whether he comes back or joins Villarreal, because it looks as though Villarreal do want him, but it looks as though he is going to stay there, doesn't it?
100%. Doesn't look likely he's going to come back to Tottenham next season. But if you would have had him this 100% of Juan Foyth this season, you would have earned £16, and so you earned your money back after one season with his performance pay, because he's only worth 16 million, so pretty cheap.
All right, so that is Juan Foyth. Third player we're going to be looking at is Ryan Sessegnon, who was on loan at Hoffenheim. A bit of an up and down spell from him at Hoffenheim.
Yeah, unfortunately, he played pretty well in the first half of the season, but he didn't quite. He had a big injury midway through. Didn't quite hit the heights he did after getting one of the Player of the Month earlier in the season. So, shame for him, because he probably would have felt like he's building up a head of steam, and probably would have felt like the loan spell was going well. But unfortunately, the injury kind of stopped him in his tracks a bit. Yeah,
I mean, it's a bit disappointing from Ryan Sessegnon, because his career hasn't really kicked on probably the way he would have expected to after leaving Fulham, because obviously he was a leading role there in the Championship. I think he stuttered a bit in the Premier League with Fulham and then moved to us, and he really just hasn't kicked on since then. We thought his career was going on the right paths when on his early stages on his Hoffenheim loan, but kind of injuries have held him back there. So in my opinion, probably worth giving him another loan spell somewhere where he is going to get regular football, because if he comes back to Tottenham for next season, I can't really see him getting too much game time with Reguilon at left back.
Could be challenging him though.
Could
if
be,
we
yeah.
want to upgrade on Ben Davis potentially.
Yeah, could be.
Take up that role, but I think it would have been more suited if we had Conte playing him left wing back.
Definitely.
Unfortunately, that ain't going to happen now.
All right, and the fourth player we're going to be looking at is Troy Parrott, who's actually had 2 loan spells this season. First one was at Millwall, where just didn't work out for him. Second one, he dropped down the league to League One with Ipswich, and it did go a bit better, but still not that great, was it?
No, unfortunately, he only scored, I think, his first goal on the last day of the season, or he's got one in the cup as well. So he only got his first league goal on the last day of the season. So I think he'll be disappointed, because a lot of things were expected of him this year, especially at the beginning of the season. When we saw he was going on loan to the championship team, everyone was very excited. But Millwall didn't have the best of times in the first half of the season. Neither did Troy. So I think he rightly moved out of that environment, went to League One. But as he did get game time, they were impressed with kind of how good he is, but unfortunately he didn't maybe get the goal return he would have hoped. And I think another loan spell's in the offing next year. Yeah, and following on from that, he did score 2 goals in first team duty for Republic of Ireland during the week against Andorra. So that's great for him. Any player at that age got to take what you can get, especially at international level. So that must have been massive for him, scoring 2 goals for Ireland. But in terms of his loan spell, we spoke to an Ipswich fan a few months ago, and they were actually really impressed with him, albeit that he didn't get too many goals he didn't get too many times on the score sheet, but I think they were quite impressed with him though. Yeah, he seems still like a good player and good quality. He's still young, he's got loads of time, but I think with all the hype around him, he'll be disappointed with how the season went, but I'm sure he's got a big career ahead of him. Let's move on to Jack Clark. He also had 2 loan spells this season. The first one at Birmingham, which really didn't go well. Second one at Stoke, again, went a bit better, but failed to get too much game time. But I think the Stoke fans were pretty impressed with him. Yeah, I think he'll be a bit disappointed again as well. 4 loan spells now he's had in the past 2 years, and he kind of hasn't made the most of them. He's been at Leeds, QPR, Birmingham, and now Stoke, and each time he's kind of flattered to deceive and hasn't been very much out of the team pretty much every loan spell. So he'll be very, very disappointed with his development since joining Tottenham for 10 million. Hasn't really seen any game time, and I think I've been a bit underwhelmed by his impact in those clubs as well. So I think that's disappointing from that aspect. But he's still 20, so he could definitely have time to turn it around. But at the moment, the past 2 years have been pretty bad for him.
Yeah, I mean, for a player that we signed for 10 million from Leeds, we sent him straight back on loan to Leeds and didn't get any sort of game time there. So I think that was very telling. But in terms of how I've assessed him, especially in a Spurs shirt, I think pre-season he looked okay. He didn't look too out of depth, I think, in the kind of pre-season friendlies, but they were against lower league opposition. But since he has gone on loan, like you said, all 4 loan spells have been pretty poor from him. So I think next season he will be going out on loan again, and he really needs to knuckle down a spot on loan. He really does.
He does.
Let's move on to the 6th player we're going to be talking about, and that's Cameron Carter-Vickers. I've been at Spurs for a while now, on loan to Bournemouth, one of his many loan spells, and this is definitely one of his more successful ones. Lost in the semi-final of the playoffs to come up to the Premier League with Bournemouth, and I think he had a very good season there.
Yeah, and I think they were happy with him, weren't they? And I think he's had a few good loan spells in the Championship, Carter-Vickers, without really having the opportunity to prove himself for Tottenham. But I think there's another positive loan spell. Played a lot of games in the lead up to their playoff run, and obviously they didn't quite make it. But I think second half of the season he's come into the team and made a real positive impact on their defence. So fair play to Cameron. Hopefully, I don't think he'll be part of the Tottenham first team at all ever, but I think he could move on to be a fairly good centre-back.
Yeah, to be honest, in a Spurs shirt, I've never seen him put a very good display in. One that sticks out to mind is that Wickham display when we beat them 4-3, and he was just shocking that day, wasn't he? And that was against Wickham. But let's move on. Second to last player we're going to be looking at, and that is Harvey White, who's been on loan at Portsmouth. He did score a brilliant goal on his debut, but how was his scouting reports looking?
Yeah, we can see here he's been scouted by a couple of people on 5 yards. And this guy says he's a young central midfielder whose role is to receive the ball and play it forward to try and set off a fast attack. He's a very neat passer, slight frame with a low central of gravity, often looks to play positive forward passes. Similar style but not ability to Iniesta. That type of tight midfielder who's accurate passer and looks to set things off. Would be a great fit at most Championship sides next season to get some game time and to develop physically, as he needs to bulk up a little bit following that. He should be integrated into the Spurs first team. Physical traits, physically slight frame, but is only young, so should bulk up a bit for regular men's football. Great mentality and determination to make it the top of the game and succeed in the Premier League. Reminds me stylistically of Harry Winks, but has a lot higher potential ability ceiling.
That's what I like to hear, higher ceiling than Harry Winks. But in terms of him going on loan next season, I think a Championship loan will do him well. And hopefully he'll get some time in the Championship next season and come back to Tottenham at the end of next season even stronger.
I absolutely agree. I think I've liked the look of him when I've seen bits of him in pre-season and cup games and stuff.
Especially that Marine game. He was quality that day,
he was
wasn't
great. He was great, but hopefully he needs kind of regular game time in the Championship, and then he needs more time to develop.
Yeah. All right, and the last but not least, we're going to be talking about TJ Yoma, who's been on loan at Lincoln, who fell at the last hurdle in the League One playoffs. They lost in the final to Blackpool 2-1. But by all accounts, he's had a very good season for Lincoln City. But let's have a look at his scout reports.
Yeah, so this one guy, Tom, has scouted him for his time at Wickham. He actually played a lot of games for Wickham this season.
Lincoln.
For Lincoln this season. He says can play at centre back or right back, can also operate a wing back. Very strong and a lot of upper body strength as he's 6 foot and very good in the air. He's got good reading and seems calm on the ball and not scared to take people on. So that sounds positive on that front. He's 21, so he's not a teenager anymore, but he's also got a lot of time on this side. But it sounds like a player who maybe with a regular Championship loan, maybe potentially could be part of the first team at Spurs at some point.
Yeah, and he played a lot of football this year for Lincoln, so that will stand him in good stead. And if he can go out on loan next season, get some game time in the Championship so we can see what he's like at a higher level. I mean, it looks as though physically he's got kind of the attributes to succeed, and he's kind of plays in positions that we desperately need right now, in centre-back and right-back. So maybe he can come in and do a job in a couple of years' time.
Yeah, that's about wait and see how he does with a higher level.
Yeah. All right. So that is our loan watch with the 5 yards. Go and have a look in the description below. And if you want to get involved in 5 yards, click the link and follow the steps. But that is our loan watch. We spoke about 8 players today: Ollie Skip, Juan Foyth, Ryan Sessegnon, Troy Parrott, Jack Clark, Cameron Carter Vickers, Harvey White, and TJ and Yoma. Let me know in the comment section below what your thoughts were on their loan spells. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.